Today, I want to chat with you about the top 5 reasons to help motivate you to recover from your eating disorder. My name is Shena, and I'm a registered dietitian specializing in the care of persons with eating disorders. So, the first reason that was one of the most powerful motivators for me to recover from my eating disorders, and it's something that I often share with my patients, is that you are no longer a slave to a set of rules. While individuals with eating disorders tend to be perfectionists and sometimes even a little bit of a rule follower, having to be a slave to a set of rules, especially rules that tend to be ever escalating, very difficult to achieve, and especially difficult to maintain, can be exhausting. So, these rules might include things like what you can and can't eat through the day, how much physical activity that you have to get in throughout the day, the foods that you can keep in your house, and so on and so forth. Now, when we say these rules out loud and the fact that we are obliged by the terms of our eating disorder to comply with these rules, it can be very infuriating that we are a slave to something that honestly sounds so incredibly ridiculous. So, for me, one of the primary reasons why I had the motivation to recover from an eating disorder is I didn't like to be a slave to another person's standards, set of rules, and societal expectations. Be a rebel, recover. The second reason that serves as a motivator for recovering from an eating disorder is a big one. You get to have relationships again. So, this can include romantic relationships, family relationships, and relationships with friends. But if you have noticed, if you have an eating disorder, it's very difficult to engage socially with your friends and your families, particularly in romantic relationships where romantic relationships often require going out to eat and engaging in food settings as an act of love. They also often require being vulnerable in our bodies, and it can be very difficult to engage in romantic relationships if you're somebody that's undergoing an eating disorder. So, for somebody that is pursuing a romantic relationship or in a romantic relationship, we often might feel like the relationship includes us, our partner, and our eating disorder on board. So, to get rid of the eating disorder as that obnoxious third party in our relationship as a motivator in recovery, that is a huge one, my friends. Are you someone that is suffering from an eating disorder and in a relationship? How does that impact you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Outside of romantic relationships, there's a plethora of other relationships that are just completely hindered by our eating disorder. So, relationships with families, it might be difficult to go to social gatherings. We might become extremely anxious if food is on the table and we're engaging in a social setting, a potluck, a family reunion, etc. And even in situations with friends, we might avoid situations with friends because we have the eating disorder on board, and we might just opt to stay home instead, which can have a significant negative impact on our relationship with our friends. Reason number 4 that can serve as a motivator for you to recover from your eating disorder: you get to go on vacations again. Have you ever noticed that when you're on vacation, your eating disorder flies right to the destination with you? The eating disorder often travels with us in all of our pursuits. We might become anxious about the swimwear that we need to wear, the photographs that we need to take, the food engagements that we might have, and so on and so forth. So, in essence, every vacation is diluted when we have an eating disorder on board. So, once we have reached a full and lasting recovery, we get to have those full experiences again, which is absolutely priceless and really a lot of what life is all about. The fourth motivator to get rid of that eating disorder is that you actually get to pursue your talents and passions again. Have you ever noticed that if you have an eating disorder on board, it isn't uncommon for it to occupy 80+% of your brain space? When are you supposed to think about your dreams, talents, and desires, and what you actually have to give to the world and your purpose on the planet? So, once we eliminate some of those eating disorder thoughts, body image thoughts, we are again able to put energy into our passion, talents, and goals in life. And the fifth and final reason that can serve as a motivator for you to recover from your eating disorder is that you actually get to be an advocate in ending oppression. I know that this sounds like a weird one, and you might be saying, I don't know how my personal relationship with my body impacts those around me. Well, let me tell you, my friend, it is one of the biggest impacts in ending systemic oppression. Why? Because as we reclaim trust in our bodies, as we dismantle diet culture, as we no longer invest into the capitalistic systems which sell us products to basically change every element of our body and shrink them into their smallest possible form, well, we are pulling ourselves out of that system of oppression. We are saying, we can exist in bodies of all shapes and sizes, and we're going to commit to taking up the space that our body was naturally intended to occupy. And in doing this for ourselves, we also allow permission for other bodies to exist in their natural form and for other individuals to break free of these systemic rules of oppression. I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you found this information to be valuable, please like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend.